Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about a few tips and tricks involving the if-else statements. So that's going to include ternary operator and switch case. So the first thing I want to cover is a really quick one. Just so you guys know, I've said before that you want to have your if statement like this, where it's like if condition. And then inside here, inside these curly braces, you have the code that executes if that condition is true. If this is just one line of code, you don't even need the curly braces. So you can do something like that. And the same is true for else, if, and just else. So if I just do else, cout whatever, this will compile. So if it's one line, then it'll just execute that one line, and it'll know that. If I try and put like another cout right here, see, it already indents it because Visual Studio is predicting that this is outside of that if-else statement. And if I try to put something right here, it'll indent it right there too, because it's thinking that it's expecting to see an else if or an else. And if it doesn't see that, then it knows, okay, this must be a one-line if statement. So you can try and do this as much as you want, but it won't compile. You can see the red squiggle line right there. So if you want an if-else statement to have multiple lines inside its blocks, you need to use the curly braces like that. Okay, so let's get rid of all of this and start fresh, something new. We're going to have a string called, I'll just call it x, and we'll initialize it to a blank string. I'm going to show you guys the ternary operator. So what that means is, well, I'll get to that in 1 second. Let's have an int. We'll call it y, and we'll set it to 0. And then we'll see in the value of that variable. So that means the user is going to be typing the input of that variable. And we want this message here. Maybe I could call it message instead of x. So we'll have a message, and we'll set that message based on the value of y. Okay. So we'll say if y is greater than 100, we'll say message equals that's a big number. Else message equals that's a small number. And then we'll cout message. So this is a pretty simple program, pretty straightforward. Let's run it. It should work. I always say it should work, just in case it doesn't, but it does. That's a big number, okay? And if I do it again, let's enter a small number. It's a small number, so there you go. Now, there's a little trick here we can do. We can reduce these lines to just one line by using the ternary operator. So ternary means 3. There's 3 arguments that go into this operator. So I'm going to rewrite this using the ternary operator. And you'll see that I'm going to take bits and pieces of this and sort of combine them into one. So message, we'll start with message equals, because that's what we want to do. In both of these situations, both if and else, we're setting that message equal to something. So we pull that out of there, and we put that right there. And now we're going to say, we're going to do the condition, evaluate that. If y is greater than 100, then we want it to be that's a big number. Otherwise, we want it to be that's a small number. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. This question mark here is basically the ternary operator. So we do our assignment at first, and then at this point we evaluate all of this, and we're like, okay, based on this condition, we're going to ask ourselves, is this condition true or false? And if it's true, we jump into this part and we ignore this part over here. Otherwise, if it's false, we ignore this first part and just jump into the second part over here and execute that code. So I think it's pretty straightforward to do, although you don't have to do it this way. Like, either one of these ways is perfectly acceptable to write your code. Some people might complain about this way being unclear or something, but sometimes I think it gets more clear than this way, and you save on lines of code. But it's just up to you and your preference. There's no right way. So, okay. Let's cover one more thing in this video. I'm sort of putting all these together into one. Switch case. This is a big one, actually. Well, kind of. Because really, you can do all of these things, whichever way you prefer. But let's do like int. Okay, let me introduce one more thing here before we jump into that. I might want to, let's say I'm running a store of some kind, a store or a restaurant, and on certain days of the week, I want to display a different message on my signpost. And it's like, let's say on Mondays, I have like a 50% off sale. On Tuesdays, I have a 25% off sale. And on Thursdays, so on and so forth. I want to display a different message depending on what day of the week it is. And another way to represent numbers is by using something called an enum. So we might first think that if I want to get the day of the week, like int day of week equals 0. And let's say I want to see in that into day of week. So now the user can type in the day of the week. Now here's the thing. One, we want to make sure that the days like 0 through 6 are going to correspond to a number, or it could be 1 through 7. Yeah, we can do 1 through 7. And then what happens if the user types in a number that's not the correct day of the week? We got to prepare for that too. So let's comment this real quick. Let's say our goal is to display a message, unique message, depending on the day of the week. That's all we want to do. So here, user inputs the day of the week, the current day of the week. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set up something called an enum. So enum, I'll call it weekday, equals. We can do Monday, or no, sorry, we don't want the equals there. I think that's in C#, you need the equal sign. You don't need that in C++. So we're going to do something like this. And now we've got our list of enums here. So what is so special about this thing? Well, this enum keyword sort of ties these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to integers. So you can see as I hover over this, Monday is equal to 0, Tuesday is equal to 1, Wednesday is equal to 2, and so forth. This is going to make your code look a lot nicer. Instead of doing if day of the week equals 1, day of the week equals 2, you can do something like if, like I'm saying, if day of the week equals Monday. You can do that now. And that's pretty cool, because now our code is really readable, really easily readable. And actually, let's keep I shouldn't delete that message variable, because we want to keep that anyway. So we'll say message equals, 50% off sale today only, something like that. And then, of course, we want to see out that message. Okay, so you can already see the usefulness of this, of enums. Now, again, what if I want to make this list start at 1 instead of 0? I can do that by just typing equals 1. And suddenly, Monday is now equal to 1, and Tuesday is equal to 2. So they always go up by 1 after the one that you set it to. So I could set Monday to 5, and then Tuesday would be 6, Wednesday would be 7. But interestingly, if I set Wednesday to 2, so Monday's 5, Tuesday is 6, Wednesday is 2, Thursday is 3, and then Friday is 4. That's kind of weird, but it is possible to do. And I could even set Wednesday equal to 5, so we can have multiple that share the same value, and so on and so forth. But let's just keep it simple and just have Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, so on and so forth. Keep it simple. So this is nice, and I could do it this way. I could say else if day of week equals Tuesday. I could do that. But there's another way to do this. Instead of doing if, else if, I can do something called the switch case. And so let me type this first. So we'll do the switch first. So switch, you've got that parentheses there, and then the curly braces. Inside of switch, you're going to put day of week. So this is the variable that we are switching. We're looking at this variable and trying to see what the value is. Then we're going to say case Monday. And we do a colon there. And then we can say we can put our message right here. Grab that real fast, put that message there. And then we have to say the word break after that. Then we do case Tuesday, message equals, 10% off stuff, and break, okay. So you can see how this works. Now, there's a couple other things that I need to talk about real quick. In the event that two of these should share the same message, let's say Wednesday and Thursday, nothing happens. So we can do case Wednesday, and then we can do case Thursday. And then we can say message equals nothing special today. Okay, so you can do it that way, and then we break there. So the break, I also want to mention, you can do breaks inside of if else as well. So you can do a break right here, I think. Oh, no, you can't. Never mind. Okay, never mind. That's for loops. Good to know, though, right? See, the thing is, it'll tell you if you're wrong just by like that. And that's one thing I like about C++ over other languages, is that it'll tell you when you're wrong, like then and there. So we'll use breaks later for loops and stuff. Loops and switch is where the breaks are. That's weird, though. I thought maybe C# it'll let you do a break in an if statement. Double check me on that if you feel like it. So I'm pretty sure there's another way you can do that. Anyway, so break is basically like if you're in the middle of something, it'll just jump out of that whole scope, that whole block. So when we break right here, it just ignores the rest of this. So that's all that's doing. And then we'll see that again whenever we cover loops, that you'll be able to break out of loops that way. So lastly, if there's any other case, like let's say we know that Monday is 1 and Friday is 5, but what if we get a number like 6 or 7 or like 100 or 200? Well, we want to cover for those cases, so we say default, which is basically, this is like if equals Monday, if else Tuesday, if else Wednesday, and this is our else statement. So we can just do a break right there, and message equals you entered an invalid number, something like that. So it can be whatever. Typically this is for like error handling. Like if there's only supposed to be a certain valid range of stuff, and this is outside of that range, then you would put your message there. Again, just like everything else, this is all style preference. You could definitely do this with the if else statement way. It doesn't really make a difference, I don't think, or at least not really a noticeable one. It's just for style. If you prefer if day of week equals Monday, you can do that. And again, you can do if it equals Tuesday or day of week equals Wednesday. There's nothing different from, actually that's supposed to be Thursday, but whatever. You get the point. So there's two different ways of doing those, the same exact thing. And let's run our code real quick and see what we get. I should be able to type in a number. So if I type in 3, nothing special today, because that is 3 is Wednesday, and that's where it goes. So alrighty, so I think that's going to be it for this tutorial. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we'll continue on with other types of stuff. We'll probably go into loops next. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you then.